Hey guys, what is up? AwesomeTheSauce here. Hope you guys are having a great day, and welcome to a very exciting early look at the newest pack in Wizard101. Now, I do this every single time a new Scroll of Fortune drops because it offers a really easy way to get an early look at packs that are literally not in the game. So what pack are you talking about, Sauce? That's a great question. So if you open up the Spring Scroll of Fortune, right, there's on the third tier, right, there's this. Basically, if you do a lot of stuff, right, basically if you do a lot of things, you know, a lot of Beast Moon, essentially, you get a lot of points, and you can actually buy a Scroll of Fortune and open one of these packs. Now, their Gorgon Hoard pack is not in the crown shop, so everything that you're gonna see in this video is literally from the fact that I asked on stream for people that opened this to literally just send me whatever they got, and honestly, it looks like a really cool pack. Without further ado, let's look at it. Obviously, this isn't everything in this, but I'm gonna be talking about what I think makes this pack really unique, and what I think it might do to change the game, because I think this one's actually kind of a big one. Let's start with what they already show you. This is kind of nice, you know, a little pack inspection. So this is basically one set. Now, I will say this, I would argue that this is the worst set, so I don't know why they chose the worst set to put in this part. I'll be honest, because there's a lot of things, like, for example, right, the wand doesn't give any pierce, the robe gives very low resist, the hat doesn't really give the normal number of stats a good hat does. It's missing accuracy and gives stun block instead. Kind of a weird one, I'm not gonna lie. But what I did find very interesting when I looked at this was the fact that there is literally a pet that gives a stun card. Now, if you guys are unaware, stuns are literally not in the game anymore in terms of TCs. If you were to use it, it would completely be in PvE. It's like a very rare thing that you even use, because most bosses at this level anyways, at level 150, they're just stun immune. So like a stun card that used to be used in PvP, nowadays it's just not. Now, if you really want to single stun somebody, what you have to do is run one of the mastery amulets, right? Like you literally have to run like a fire mastery amulet or a myth mastery, and then maybe you could like choke or blinding light. That's kind of the best way to single stun someone, and you do not gain pips when you do that. So it's honestly a fairly neutral move unless someone's in strike. You used to be able to do stun combos with single stuns. It's simply not really a thing anymore. So this pet might actually be a stun-oriented pet. Now, we have no idea what it gets at Beyond, baby. Beyond, you know, like, we don't know. But if I had to bet, I'm sure that it at least gives more copies of this, or it gives other cards that are at least somewhat stun-related. And the reason I say stun-related is because all of this gear gives stun resist from this set. So I feel like this pet is from a set that's related to stuns, and that's why it gives a stun item card. So already, the pet is looking kind of nice, but that is not why I'm making this video. There's some pieces of gear that are absolutely banging that you guys have sent me, and I really want to take a closer look at them because they look almost, if not better than bundle gear. So what you're about to see on screen is the Gorgon Slayer's helm, and this was sent to me, shout out to everyone who watches, helps me with the content. Sent to me by someone who did Beast Moon, got the Spring Scroll of Fortune unlocked, all that jazz. This hat is literally nuts, y'all. If you look at it, right, if you actually look at it, it gives 924 health, 11 pip chance, 5 accuracy, 2 pierce, gives a lot of universal crit, and gives 23 damage. Now, when I brought up bundle gear earlier, I wasn't kidding. It's literally very similar to the creepy clown mask, and this is something that you would genuinely have to pay $40 for. The only trade-off that I see that's kind of apparent is obviously the fact that you have to give up a little bit of damage, right? But you get 300 more health, you actually seem to not really lose too much accuracy, and you gain a lot of shadow chance. Not to mention the fact that you also get elemental cards, like Hydra, you get elemental blade. So for some schools, this hat is literally definitely better than the creepy clown mask. What I really think is underrated about universal hats is the fact that you have universal crit, and this is not something that people treat with the proper respect, in my opinion. That is why this hat, I think, this hat is really good, and I think this pack hat's really good. And the reason it's really good is because you're gonna crit your off-school wand hits, and it's a very easy way to kill minions. I would say that if you can get away with lowering your accuracy a little bit, I think the extra HP is hella worth the damage. And if you're already above the cutoff for damage, which is around 125, 130, you might actually be better off running this so that you can run like something where it's a very offensive hit. Now, obviously the set is not something that you can do and run high resist to it, so it might not work that well, but it is very interesting. It's a universal hat that you don't have to pay $40 for, hopefully. Hopefully you just get it in the pack super easily. That is a really, really good sign of good things to come when it comes to packs versus bundle. Now, the other trend that I noticed, this one I would argue is a little bit more concerning. What you see on the screen is one of the 3 pairs of boots that you can get from this new pack, and it's from the same set as the other one. This is just a set that I happen to have sent to me. I obviously don't have all of them, but I can put 2 and 2 together and say that most of them are going to be very similar in nature, in the fact they're probably going to give some kind of similar utility, right? So I think all the boots are going to give bubbles of some sort. Now, let's compare these boots to regular boots that you might rock, right? Like Merciless gear. The big, obvious elephant in the room is the fact that you give up a good amount of resist. And that's a really, really good thing, because otherwise, these boots would be hella pay to win. Compared to, like, obviously the Merciless Ice Boots, you're giving up 7 resist, which is too much. There are some schools that only get 10 resist from their boots. And now they have access to literally boots that give more HP, barely any less pip chance, more shad chance, if I'm not wrong, compared to, like, Dragoon boots, for example. And you get an item card that literally gives you bubble. Now, this specific example is 2 copies of a balance bubble, I guess, but it's elemental damage, basically. So if you're going against, like, a spirit school or something, and you have, like, a balance mastery, you could actually just run this. You could run it. You could actually just run it. Like, I could actually see Storm and Fire. These are the new best boots, I think, for Storm and Fire, as long as you're not running a Dragoon gear set. Now, there's already a lot of, like, I think balancing issues with how some schools have way more 2-pip bubbles than others, for example, right? The Ice has the Blimp Buddy, right? My Ice has a Blimp Buddy. This gives 235 Balefrosts. So no matter what, if we're only fighting with 2-pip bubbles, I have 4 regular bubbles and 2 extra bubbles. I would always technically win a 2-pip bubble war unless I go against someone who uses Sanctuary or Doom. I find the inequality of 2-pip bubbles very, very odd, and I feel like a pair of boots that are behind a pack that allow you to do more and more to put that little 2-pip bubble. I guess it's a 3-pip bubble, but let's be honest. Like, these bubbles on gear in general, I feel like it makes the problem worse. I could be wrong on this. I'd love to hear y'all's opinions on this. I just think that bubbles in general, in terms of item cards, I feel like, yeah, they can be on pets, they can be on item cards, but you would have to do it in a way where every school has somewhat equal access, and it's just not the case, right? I mean, depending on which schools these different boots are for, you'll get different schools having more access to 2-pip bubbles. The only good news here is you are giving up resist for them, so I guess it's not that bad. I will say this, if they keep on doing item card bubbles on gear and they don't give up stats like resist, you're looking at a very, very unbalanced piece of gear that people are essentially paying for, and I think that's something that hopefully the KingsIsle avoids. Now, the massive highlight of this entire video are definitely gonna have to be the wand. Now, when you go to the preview of this, the wand that they show you, in my opinion, is probably the worst one, right? It gives a fire minion, which, I mean, that could be cool, but if you're a fire, you're not going to be running a wand that doesn't give pierce. You're giving up to 5 to 6 to maybe even 7 pierce. It is a lot of pierce that you're giving up, and you're getting less damage, so I would not recommend rocking these. And honestly, I mean, the Medusa's cool and all, but you could always run a Medusa TC if you really need it, right? The highlight is the fact that these wands give minions, but this one, the one that they preview, is not good. But there are other ones that I think are good. The wand that you see on your screen was sent to me by a viewer, and it's kind of nice. It gives 5 pierce, 15 damage, and it gives 2 item card life blades and a life minion that can literally cleanse ward and ratatata. Yes, bro, I'm talking about ratatata, the 4-pip life AoE. It's a 500 health minion, and it can literally do an anti-trap move, and it can kill other minions if you buff it. And you get item cards like a 45 blade on this wand. It's a really, really good wand. I mean, obviously, it might be a little bit low on the damage for life, just by a little bit. You're not going to feel it if you're running resist. You can give up a little bit of damage and a little bit of pierce for that much extra utility. The third wand in the set is a balance one, and that's the one that you see on the screen right now. That one's also pretty cool. It gives 2 weakness cards, which, I'll be honest, that's never a bad thing to have. And the balance minion, I don't know what this one does, because the person who sent it to me didn't tell me what it does, but I assume that it does something very, very, you know, utility heavy. Very, very similar, maybe. Maybe it's Sandstorms. Maybe instead of Cleanse Ward, it goes for, like, mantles and weaknesses like the Helpful Mander, because I don't think Balance really has an anti-trap or anti-blade tool in their little toolkit. You'll notice the Balance one actually gives more pip conserve, which really is in tune with their actual school identity. The only downside to these wands is that they don't give wand wanted. That's very, very interesting. That's why I actually wanted to make this video originally. We might be seeing a direction where you get things that get very, very cool item cards, very good stats, very different stats than what we're used to, but the trade-off is that there's no wanted. Now, not having wanteds, as we talked about, could be really bad, right? If you don't have wanteds, you don't have an easy way to kill minions. You don't have an easy way to get rid of weaknesses. You don't have an easy way of getting rid of shields for 0 pips. So it is a big, big trade-off, but obviously, you know, depending on the strategy that you're running, it could be worth it. Some people are very overtime heavy. Fire wizards sometimes don't even really use wands because they're too busy fire elfing. That's very valid. Sometimes there are schools that really need wands though. So depending on the school that you are, these wands could be or could not be for you. All in all, it does seem like this pack is heading in a slightly different direction than other packs that I've noticed. And this is a continuation of a larger thing that I think we've noticed, right? I mean, I feel like the wintertime packs, they were very, very cosmetic heavy, which I found very interesting. These wands, these boots, even the hat, really. I mean, like, all of the things that we've talked about, hopefully the pet, if we level it up and we see it, they're all utility heavy. And it seems very interesting. They're trading off some stats for utility, which adds much more variety to the game than just slightly increasing stats every time you release a pet. The only big red flag to me is the fact that they're adding more item card bubbles on gear. I think that's actually not a good idea, especially in terms of PvP. But obviously, if you're giving up enough stats for it to be, like, you know, a justifiable thing, sure. I just don't see that being a thing quite yet. I'll be honest. I can see how much of an advantage people have when they have extra 2-pip bubbles. That's a weird direction in my opinion, specifically with PvP in mind. But yeah, guys, that is my early review slash preview of this pack. Let me know what you guys think of the gear that you did see. Let me know what you guys think of what might be on the pet, what might be on the other pieces of gear. Let me know, y'all. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on all of them. If you did get something from the pack that you didn't see in the video, please post it in the comments. This was only possible because of you guys. Thank you to everyone who helped me make this. As always, drop a like if you're new. Drop a sub if you enjoyed. And if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. So stay awesome. And yeah.